Again, we'll use the pound sign here because we're not really wanting to link to anything specific. Okay. And actually, we may want to go ahead and here on this first one and do a class and call it active. And we'll deal with that later, but that'll basically make it so the first link is showing a different color saying that it's active. Alright, let's go back here. And so now we've created our A references, so let's go ahead and style them. So we're going to make the color of these items white. We'll display inline block. So we want them to be an inline and a block format. We'll give it a padding. This will be the same as margins, only padding is on the inside and margins are on the outside of the tag. So we'll give this a 10 pixel for the top and bottom and 25 pixels for the left and right. And we'll manage the height. We want the height to always be 20 pixels. So let's save that and look at it. Now we have our buttons with mouse overs. Now you'll notice that the active class didn't show up, and that's mainly because up at the top here I made a little mistake. I did A:active. I just needed to do period active because that's a class. So let's go ahead and save that again. And I won't full screen it, but I'll just click it and you can see now that that has become an active option. We're about halfway done with the CSS. So we're going to go ahead and turn our main headers into the beveled look like we like. So .main header nav ULLIA. That's saying all those tags are going to receive this bevel. And I'm just going to go up here and copy the bevel and paste it right there. And that will bevel those buttons. So let's go ahead and look at that. And I don't know if you can see it, but right there you have a little bevel around it. Okay, so now that we've finished with our heading CSS, we're going to go ahead and do some work on the main content. So let's go on here and we'll create a new comment. And we'll call it main content CSS. And I'm going to go ahead and end that as well. And just so we have a reference, the main content CSS is that class right there. So that's what this is the section we're currently editing. All of anything inside that div. Alright, so let's go ahead and give it a line height. And we'll give it 25 pixels. And we'll take our border radius that we've been doing, and we'll apply it right here, just like that. Okay, so let's edit the content tag now. Again, that's going to be inside this bigger div. We're going to be editing this class right here. And we'll give it a width of 70%, and we'll make it float left. Okay, so that does it for content. So let's go ahead and clear the extra space there. And I'm going to do the top content now. Remember the capital C, it is case sensitive. And we'll say, do a background color of white. And we'll go ahead and put our border radius on there. And we're going to go ahead and give it some padding and some margin, so it kind of styles it on the sheet. So we'll say padding, and we're going to make it 3%, and actually we'll make it 2% top and bottom, and 5% left and right. And the margin we'll put on it will be a 2%. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so now you can see the one that we edited is indented, and it has a margin between the top button bar and just for time's sake, I'm going to go ahead and remove that middle content. I'm going to copy that whole section here, and we're just going to paste it because most of the stuff is going to be the exact same. So let's see, background, we're going to have our border radius of 5, our WebKit, Mozilla. Our padding is going to be, on this one, I'm going to change this a little bit to 3. This white background isn't really showing up on the screen for the recording, so I'm going to go ahead and change that to like a light blue. That way it'll be more visible to what we're actually doing. And let's see it now. There, it's a little bit better. Okay, so we're done with editing our content. So we copy that. And we'll say our sidebar. Okay, so our sidebar, we have our top sidebar. And the width on this, we'll make it 21%. Our float, make it left. Put our border radius on there. Now you may wonder why I'm just picking these numbers, width of 21 or width of, let's see, what are some of these other, width of 45, or well, I'm not actually picking these at random. There actually is a math. You're looking at 100% width for a dynamic site. So our main content is 70%. Well, when you add 70%, and then you got to consider our other our top content is going to have a padding and a margin, so you got to calculate those into that. And then our sidebars are 21%. So if you just take this top sidebar and you take the content, we're already at 81%. But then when you add in the padding, it's going to increase this by 7 more percent. So now we're actually at 78%. And so, and then we're actually going to add some padding to this as well. So you want to make sure you don't exceed 100% or your sidebar will fall to the bottom of the page. So let's go ahead and create some padding on this. We'll do a 2% and a 3%. And we'll do a margin on the bottom only of 3%. Actually, let's go ahead and take that off of there, and we'll do just a margin. And we'll say 2% on the top and 0 on the bottom and 2% left and 3% right. I'm going to copy this whole thing and paste it 3 times, and this will be middle and bottom. So for the middle, I'm going to keep everything basically the same, only I'm going to remove these 2 margins here. And same thing for the bottom, which I may change here again in a second, depending on how it looks. One more thing that we didn't change up in main content that I want to go ahead and go back and change is the .post info. This was that footer tag that's inside the article, and so what we want to do on this is we just want to give it a font style, and we'll make it italic. Oops, that's a. And let's go ahead and make the color 999, kind of another gray. And we'll make the font size 85%. So we made a bunch of changes. We've changed our sidebars and we've changed our post info. So let's take a look at that. So there's our post info that's now italic and gray. Doesn't look really good on that blue background, but in fact I'm probably going to change that back to white when we go back, but I just wanted you to see the radius and how it looks, and it probably looks different on my screen than it does in your video. And there's our top bar, just like that. So we haven't reloaded our mobile browser in a while, so let's go ahead and do that. So there's what it looks like on a mobile right now. Not too pretty, but we will be adjusting that. And this background is showing up as a default as a black. We may want to go ahead and change that. Oops. Let's go back at the top here again. And it actually looks like I forgot a section. Forgot our body class. Okay, so I had the main body tag, but I also created a body class specific to this body. And I'm just going to go ahead and make those changes real quick. So I did a margin, 0 in auto, and we'll do a width of 70%. And lastly, we'll do clear both. This basically just clears up the left and right side of the page. So if there's any overlapping div tags, so we want to make things look clean. So let me save that and go back to my index, and we're going to put class there and call it body. And I'm also noticing right here, we referenced our background image. I've been noticing the background on the mobile is being black, and obviously the background on the main site hasn't been showing up. So just now noticing this, we put the CSS in a subdirectory right there. So there is no images directory inside of CSS. So in order to reference the images directory, we've got to do a // say go back a directory and access images. And you'll notice when we save that and we refresh the main site, we get a background image. And when we refresh the mobile site, we also get the background image. So that is now also resolved. Well, kudos to you if you've hung with me this long, but we are almost done with the primary section of the CSS. So the first thing we're going to do here is edit the main footer. And, whoops. And we're going to give it the same background texture and color as the title bar up here.
Hey, thanks for watching. And if you could just click right there for me to subscribe to my channel, that'll really help me out and you'll get notifications anytime I release a new video. Thanks a lot.